Now, when Jesus heard that John had been arrested, he withdrew to Galilee. He left Nazareth and made his home in Capernaum by the sea, in the territory of Zebulun and Naphtali, so that what had been spoken through the prophet Isaiah might be fulfilled. Land of Zebulun, land of Naphtali, on the road by the sea across the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles, the people who sat in darkness have seen a great light. And those who sat in the region in the shadow of death, on them light has dawned. From that time forward, Jesus began to proclaim, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven has come near." As Jesus walked by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fish for people." Immediately, they left their nets and they followed him. As he went from there, he saw two other brothers, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, and they were in the boat with their father Zebedee, mending their nets, and Jesus called to them. And immediately they left their boat and their father and followed him. Jesus went throughout Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness among the people. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. You may be seated. As largely a lectionary preacher, what often happens is we catch the story right in the middle of its unfolding. If you had read the 11 or so or 12 or so verses before, you would have a little bit of history of what we've walked into with today's reading. Today it seems that John, the cousin of Jesus, has continued to exercise liberally his First Amendment right to freedom of speech and to be able to protest against all those would-be people who would follow God and say to them, you're nothing but a brood of vipers." And these were the religious folk to whom he talked, and also those who found themselves out in the wilderness with him as he preached a new gospel. Now, as it is, most people, especially those who see themselves in power over us, really don't take so well to name calling. And John had a list of unsavory names for those who mocked God and pretended to be something else, no matter whether they deserved it or not. These religious folk and their crony did not like how John cast his message. So when today's story opens up, Matthew begins telling us Jesus' reaction to John's imprisonment. Jesus withdraws to Galilee. Now, Matthew is silent on the detail of John's imprisonment. One moment he's out preaching in the wilderness, and the next thing we know, we hear he's been imprisoned, and we can understand why. It doesn't do well to speak against those in power. We know that Jesus withdrew when that imprisonment occurred. Matthew doesn't tell us where Jesus went. Maybe he went to friends or relatives' house. He doesn't even tell us why Jesus went. We can speculate, though. If you've been traveling around the wilderness with the likes of John, you quickly get associated with him. Maybe Jesus, in protecting the ministry that he knew God had for him, realized that the best thing to do was to separate himself from anything that spoke of John. Not that John's ministry wasn't something he built upon. Of course it was. But Jesus did not want his ministry to be understood as John merely passing the baton while he was silenced and in prison. You see, Jesus didn't want to take up the family business. He was going to do carpentry of a different kind. You see, he was going to build souls for the kingdom. And he was going to do it not with just the waters of baptism, but with the fire of the Holy Spirit. Perhaps his stepping apart was to protect his own self and his own ministry, but also to create create a separation between himself and John so that he could come back and greet the world more seamlessly than had he just continued. If we read this passage closely and correctly, it seems that Jesus is the political and the social and the spiritual strategist. I think he leveraged that time apart so that he might buoy himself and prepare himself for the beautiful and the rough ministry that was before him. If you only thought this 2016 campaign was unprecedented, because isn't that the word that we've all thrown around? That's the most unprecedented campaign we've ever seen. If you thought that was unprecedented, you should have seen the campaign that Jesus launched. The ministry and the mission and the political and the economical and the social justice campaign that he launched some 2,000 plus years ago. It was as controversial then as it is now. Unprecedented it was. Jesus launched this one-of-a-kind ministry out on the Sea of Galilee, which was one of his favorite haunts. He loved the sea and everything about it. And we're told as he's walking down by the sea, he sees two sets of brothers. First, he comes upon Simon and Andrew and asks them to drop their nets and follow him, and so they did. And en route next, he sees the sons of Zebedee, James and brother John, and they're in the boat with their daddy, no less. And he calls to them while they're mending their nets, "Come on, follow me. I'm going to teach you how to do what? Fish for people." Well, now that's a strange new message. Fish for people. Lured like the very fish these men were baiting, these seasoned fishermen simply dropped their nets and followed him. Don't you find that strange? I mean, these had to be practical men, pragmatic men. They made a living. They were known in the village, respected, had families. Now, I don't know if you have any fisher people in your family, but one thing I know about the ones that I know, they are serious about their business. And I don't know many of them that would drop their nets or their poles for much of anything unless it maybe was a good eat on the riverbank, and then commence them back to what they started. You see, these guys were mining the wares of the sea. What kind of person then just drops his net? On one level, you might think it's miraculous because fishermen don't do that, give up their poles easily. But on the other hand, I think it's totally irresponsible and insensitive. I mean, didn't they have families to care for? Who was going to feed and clothe them? The fish of the sea is what put food on the table. And insensitive. Do you think they even went home and told the family, "Look, I got a new gig. I'm laying down the pole. I'm going to be trekking after this Jesus. Going to fish for people"? Did they even bother to go home? Matthew says nothing. We don't know. We can only imagine. Like I started out telling the children, if you know anything about me or if you visited with me or talked with me long enough, you know that I'm an animal enthusiast. Throughout my life, I've had all kinds of animals. I've had turtles and fish and chickens, and I've had guinea fowls and a long-haired guinea pig, a pony that we adopted named Holiday, dogs too numerous to count with litters of puppies way too numerous to count, tuxedo cats, and among one of my favorite animals ever, my sharp and loquacious cockatiel named Dixie that I talk to the children about. I've raised the subject to my family of the next animal that I would really, really love. I've always wanted this, cats notwithstanding. The animal, the pet that I've always wanted is a cockatoo. If you know anything about cockatoos, they're like children. Why would I want another child? I've already raised mine. She's practically gone, although she's 23 and she's still in the parsonage. We're scooting her out. Slowly but surely, maybe you know about that. But the cockatoo, I can't seem to talk anybody into my family into it though, because you know you have to have a long commitment. It's not just my commitment. These birds in captivity live 65 to 75 years. So if you're going to take on a cockatoo, it becomes a family business. I've said to Doug and Carol, maybe I'll just get a cockatoo and it will be non-itinerating, so that when I move, the cockatoo can just come along with the parsonage. How about that? They didn't like that very much. I'll date myself among the millennials among us, but many of you sitting out there will understand and know this story well, or this show well. Do you remember the popular Sunday night series, the precursor to probably today's Animal Planet channel? It would come on Sunday evenings after church. We would go home and we'd all pile up on the couch together, and we would watch this show that was sponsored by an insurance company. It was called Mutual of Omaha's, what was it? Wild Kingdom. Some of these millennials are looking at me like, what? Just go with it. The Wild Kingdom. And in the river, I had pictures of the stars of that show. Remember Marlon Perkins? Oh, he was a handsome fellow. Brave and strong. And that Jim Fowler, boy, he was a handsome one too. And then Peter Gross. They took us each week to witness exciting stories about wildlife and conservation and the challenges of animals in the wild as they neared extinction. And they helped open our eyes to the universe, the creation of God that are animals. Just like the late crocodile hunter Steve Irwin, remember him and his tragic death by stingray on Mount Reef in Australia in 2006. These folk loved animals. Recently, I met an old friend at Blackbird Bakery, and we got to talking about all the pets we had owned, and sure enough, overall we drifted into the conversation, because we're about the same age, of that favorite Sunday night show, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, and Marlon Perkins. My friend talked about a particular episode that she remembers about the elephant seals of Argentina. The show focused on a mother and her recent pup, and that after she gave birth to that pup, she dove into the rich coastal sea. She was famished. She went to feed herself, along with a host of other mothers who had given birth about the same time, who dove into those same waters to care for themselves. And I remember sitting on that couch anytime those kinds of things would happen. Though I don't remember that episode, I remember plenty others like it. When the mama abandoned the pup or the animal, and the cameraman just kept filming, whether something came to eat it up or not. I never did understand that. I would bury my head in the couch. I didn't want to see it. And sometimes I'd commence to crying, and my parents would send me to my room until I could get myself straightened up, and we can all watch the show without my tears. It's nature, after all, they said. Well, my friend Kim continued her story back on the beach. When this mother that they were filming came back from the coastal waters, as it was, she showed up on the different side of the beach than her pup was. And from there, she began to call for her baby. Complicating the situation was that the other mothers had also come back, and they were calling for their young as well. Interestingly, Marlon Perkins, our hero, made it all clear to those who were watching that night, and for all episodes similar to it. He explained that from the moment of birth, the sound and the scent of the pup are imprinted in the mother's memory, and the sound and the scent of the mother are imprinted in the pup's memory. And so the two on that episode were united. I remember my 7th grade science class teacher, who was a holy terror and scared me to death, Miss Hicks. The one thing I remember about that class that was positive is she taught me about the whole concept of imprinting. And I was absolutely mesmerized by it. You know what imprinting is. It's a zoological term of how a young animal comes to recognize and attach itself to an animal or a person or a thing, anything that nurtures it in the early moments of its birth. Most particularly, the kinds of animals that we see imprinting are those that are nestlings that are hatched from eggs, largely in the bird family, though not exclusively. It was first reported in domestic chickens in the 19th century by an amateur biologist, but then popularized by one Conrad Lawrence, who was an Austrian zoologist, an ethologist who studied the behavior and the instinct of animals, and an ornithologist who was a bird watcher and expert. He coined the term imprinting. And he told us the story through the gray-lag geese that imprinted not to him as much as to his green wader boots. The green wader boots. And you could get online and see these beautiful images of all of these ducks and geese following this man around with his green wader hunter-type boots. Studying the instincts of these animals, Lawrence demonstrated how incubator-hatched geese would imprint to the first suitable moving thing that they saw, anywhere within 12 to 17 hours after birth. So as I said, you can get online and see the birds or the geese, what did I say they were? Geese, preening his head as he swam, following him around the farm. Quite amazing. I mentioned the story of my cockatiel, whose favorite place was right here. Interestingly enough, though, she knew I was her mother, and she had imprinted to me. You see, she was hand-fed, and that's the greatest possibility that they will imprint. Interestingly enough, when Gary came into my life, where is it? Yeah, when Gary came into my life, it was kind of like she kicked her instinct. She decided that he was pretty cool. And I remember when we clipped her wings one time, one of her favorite things to do was to walk across the floor in front of the dog. Oh, she loved that. Like, come get me. Mama will get you if you do. Just, I dare you. She would toddle out in front of our golden retriever. She would toddle up to the edge of the couch skirt where Gary was usually laying, reclining, and she would beat herself up to the top of his chest, climb up to his chin, and start preening his mustache and jostling with his glasses. You've never seen a man so unappreciative of the fact that he became a second mother, and I was devastated. I thought she was mine. I know Andrew has a bird at home. I bet you can testify to every bit of it. That bird belongs to Becca. Yeah? Absolutely. But when I read Matthew's story of how speedily these fishermen in the Sea of Galilee dropped their nets that day, and they started following this passerby with this peculiar mission of fishing for people, it almost made me wonder if they'd been waiting all their lives to hear that voice. It almost put me to the mind of the fact that maybe for all of their lives, as they had mined in that sea for the wares that would put food on their table, that they were wanting and wishing and hoping for something more. And maybe when Jesus passed by that day and called to them, they instinctively knew, aha, there's my mother. There's my father. They recognized the sound of the voice, perhaps the pat of the feet, and maybe that's why they so quickly abandoned their nets to follow him. One of the early church fathers, St. Augustine, opens the first book of his famous Confessions with a prayer and an oft-quoted line. And it goes like this. You have made us for yourself, O God, and our hearts are restless until they find rest in thee. You have made us for yourself, but our hearts are restless until they find rest in thee. Oh, we may listen to 1,000 other voices that feign to be our mama, feign to be our daddy, but there's no voice and there's no pad of feet like those of God when he calls our name and when he bids us follow him. One thing's clear, if we're going to follow after him, we better have spent plenty of time imprinting with him, knowing him, his voice, his will, his way. There's a lot of people that have a hard time in life when they grab hold of the first hand that reaches out to them and says, come to mama, come to papa. But when we hold the hand of the one who has called us by name and given us life and birth, then and only then is it wise to follow, and to follow our life long. And In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.